Murphy from all the fire, all the heat. I know. I eclipsed it.
You're blocking the heat there, Ben Perry. I got to be honest with you, man. I don't think it gets any cooler than hanging out at Guy Fieri's freaking house outside with an outside fire. And then I'm in the kitchen. He's like, hey, you hungry, Ope? I'm like, yeah. And then he just made me the most amazing lobster with heat. I think he called it a Korean lobster dish, but I don't even know if that's true or not. But it was amazing. And then I fanboyed out because my sister, Holly, is a massive Food Network.
Oh, really?
Massive. I go, guess where I'm at? And she's pretty much crying at home right now.
Well, you get to have the lobster. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's crazy. So the difference of, like good to great is, you saw the BTUs on the oven.
Yeah.
Like when I put it on high, like I can cook some things on my oven. That thing on high could weld stainless steel.
Oh, my God.
It was crazy.
The heat coming off that thing. He was heating his house as he was cooking the lobster.
Right.
Without going into details, the one thing, as soon as I, arrived and I saw Guy, I go, hey, Guy, I don't think you have enough toys.
Oh.
Holy shit, without getting into it.
Well,
How many cars does he own, if you had to guess? I think we could at least say that.
Well, I would say if you were to put a Sirius XM sponsorship on every car he owned, he definitely paid your salary for quite a while.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Well, that was a lot of fun taping Grocery Games today. A very special episode for Carl. Coming out, in April?
Yeah, it's the April Fool's show.
Yeah.
So, every chance that Guy could trick Carl on that show, he did. You saw it every nuance of that show today. When Troy was drinking the milk, I'm just going to leave it at that. Drinking the milk, that was a typical Guy Carl moment.
Yeah.
In a minute, he would trick him into something, and it would backfire, and it was just, it was pure gold on TV.
It's amazing how many people flew in for this.
Oh, absolutely.
I know Guy paid for some people, and then others were like, look, I'm just flying in. There was well over 100 people just checking out the filming today.
Well, with Carl, he made everybody feel special, and if you could if you want to just hold on to that moment for a little bit and try to feel a little bit more special and a little bit of that time and remember what you had, and you wanted to be here.
Yeah.
It's not a question of, I feel like I have to be there. No, you have a desire to want to be here. Just like you would want to answer that when he called you. You'd want to hang out when the opportunity was there. You just want to present yourself and be with him. And this is exactly what today was. It was the best part.
And Guy showed so much love and so much respect to Carl today. I mean, no one could beat what he did today. It was amazing. From top to bottom. It was amazing.
Right. It was the tribute of tributes.
Right.
Just seeing everybody and keep in mind, I'm a nobody. And walking into this studio and seeing everybody and just seeing all the laughter, all the tears, everybody sharing. Everyone had a story today. Everyone shared their favorite story. And there's going to be probably, after 10 more beers, we're all going to share another story tonight.
Oh, yeah,
that's not for the podcast, but it's one of those things where everyone had their moment. And, creating moments is so rare.
Right.
And he did it with everybody. It's unbelievable.
And Murphy was on the show today. What's up, brother?
Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. Happy to be
yourself.
Here. I'm Mark Murphy. I'm, I guess I'm just a friend of Carl's.
That's it?
Yeah, that's for right now. Yeah, that's it right now.
Right. You were great today.
I had a good time. I've been cooking for quite a while. I love coming on the show. I love goofing off on the show.
Yeah.
I always have a good time, and I used to have a good time here with Carl, and I got to tell you, it's like walking on that set today, I got emotional.
Of course.
Coming here, the one thing I know about Carl, the one thing I remember most about Carl is that laugh.
Yeah.
That laugh was infectious.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was, and you can sort of, close your eyes and hear it, it's just there.
Yeah.
And he was somebody I had a lot of respect for, and I was kind of jealous of him.
Really?
His wit and his intellect and the quick witness that he had, I always was like, damn, I wish I had like a tenth of that.
Right.
Because it was the stuff that came out of his mouth was just like, when you go to the doctor, you hit the knee and the knee goes up. Like, that's the kind of, that's how quick you had.
So quick, so
responses.
fast, and so funny.
Oh, it was awesome.
Instantaneously.
It was amazing. And I can't even believe, it's still sort of surreal, but,
yeah.
obviously seeing all these people here together and wishing he was still with us, but it was celebrating his life is something that's important. And there's I think in Mexico they do a great thing with it. They don't mourn people's deaths. They celebrate people's lives.
Yeah, they have that creepy animation that my kids love. What was it called again? Coco?
I don't know what it was.
The movie.
But yes.
You mean the movie Coco?
Yeah, the movie Coco, where they celebrate their dead relatives. It's really creepy.
The reason actually, you're reminding me of it now. I'm reading. Ron Sanchez wrote a cookbook.
Yeah.
Ron Sanchez just wrote a book about his life, and I'm only on page like 30 or 40. But in the beginning, he talks about his moment being in Mexico and experiencing the Day of the Dead and how people are just cooking and eating and having a great time. And that's sort of what I feel like we're doing now. And I know it's getting late. We're supposed to go to a party soon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much eating there's going to be doing, but we're going to be doing plenty of drinking and celebrating Carl's life.
Yeah.
Damn right.
I just wish he was here for it.
He
invited me out to California many times to hang on grocery games and hang out with all you guys. And I always put it off like, eventually I'll get there. So the first time I'm out here, it's for this.
Well, it's crazy because obviously this is my first time meeting you, and we have things in common, it turns out, oddly enough. But I always heard about you, and I know Carl had much respect for you, and it's strange because I'm hearing that from a lot of people.
Right.
It's like, oh, I heard about you through Carl, and I heard about you through Carl, and Carl said this about you, and it was always everything with a lot of love.
It's like the Kevin Bacon game. But it's Carl, right? But it's Carl. We're all related.
7 degrees to Ruizing?
Yeah, 7 degrees. There it is.
Exactly.
There it is.
Instead of bacon, it's a Cuban sandwich. Instead of bacon, 7 degrees, it's a Cuban sandwich. But coming around the corner of the set today, it finally hit home because a lot of our friends, we all come from different parts of the country together to come together, and you can kind of keep people in a little pocket of your mind, like, hey, they're over there, they're doing their thing. But come around the corner, it just hit home because on that set, in between the scenes you'll never see, the things that never happen, Carl and Guy's chemistry just kept that show going, kept everyone powered with so much energy and made it so fun. I mean, when you say surprises, he would make Carl, who's a judge, randomly just compete against the winner, and not tell him. And just started throwing things at him and be like, you got to... So it's like at all times, Carl was always being put to the test to prove himself, and he just had fun through it all. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Who are you, by the way, for the podcast?
I'm Jack Brown from Sophista-Funk, and we've been friends with Carl and with Guy for years, coming out and playing the parties, and a lot of great memories. Some nice Festivus memories, and some things we can't repeat about it, but I will say one time there was a bounty put out on his underwear at a Festivus for $1,000, and let me tell you, they were going for it, and I had to jump in and save him at one point because he was on the ground, and it was
$1,000.
I know.
No? Okay.
We look. I said, remember who was there for you, Carl. And
they were trying to yank his underwear off for $1,000.
The atomic wedgie, but through the legs and the whole kit and caboodle. And he was getting around, and he was on guard. Let's just say he was like a deer at the watering hole a little bit. But you just never you want to talk about the life of a party. I mean, we're all here to give love and to show respect to somebody who is a life of the party and a life of our lives, you know what I mean, and brought something real special to us and was just so down to earth and such a cool dude. So you see who comes out for it and why, and it's bringing us all together, and we're here to celebrate together.
It's been amazing. Miami, New York, now California, the people coming out of the woodwork with Carl stories. It's insane. Murph, you got a good Carl story?
I got a lot. Actually, the funniest one is I went to the restaurant probably a couple of weeks ago. Really, maybe 2 weeks.
La Cubana,
and 2 weeks before he passed, and he was sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and he didn't have his glasses on, which was really rare. And I was like,
because they were broken.
Maybe they were broken. But the great thing is, I was like, hey, Carl, how you doing? And I was with a couple of friends, and I introduced my friends, and I was like, and then I mentioned, I was like, oh. I can't believe you don't have your glasses on. No, I know. It's fine. Let's go inside and have a drink, Rocco. I mean, that quick. I'm like, and my boys who I was with, who we rolled in with, were just like, whoa. That was so, that was just the quick and the intellect of what he had. He could just pull that stuff out. And it was like, no.
Oh,
and it was just effortlessly. And that's what I was saying earlier. Yeah. I was so jealous of that.
Yeah. I want everyone to know, man, I was fortunate enough to, hang with the funniest comics out there. And Carl was right there always. And sometimes, not sometimes, more than sometimes, he was the funniest in the room.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I know he always talked about being on your show and the people that he used to hang out with. He would tell these stories about all these people he'd hang out with, all these in your industry, the funny industry. Is that what they call it? I don't know. I'm in the food industry.
It's
you
called
in the funny industry?
No, it's called the toxic industry.
Well, I got to tell you,
it's a bit toxic.
He was, I think he really felt like he made it there when he was working with you on the show.
Man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rodriguez, get over here, brother.
What's up?
Introduce yourself. Cameraman for Grocery Games.
Anthony Rodriguez, DP of Triple D and Grocery Games.
Let me tell you about Anthony Rodriguez. So we met for the first time today, but when Carl, died, you reached out to me on Twitter and made sure I was okay, and I want to thank you for that. That was amazing because you don't know me.
You're welcome. I mean, it's the idea is I saw that you guys came together at a time where you both needed each other, and I think as much as he needed help, you needed help, and I think that's who he was. I mean, he was never about himself. So at a time when he was at his darkest, he wanted to be there for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who he was. I mean, like, everybody always says, and since his passing, it's like, oh, Carl lit up a room. No, he didn't. He made everybody in the room feel like they were better than themselves. Yeah. If he was introducing you, he wouldn't say, hey, here's my buddy Opie. He'd say, here's Opie. He's the funniest guy around, or he's the greatest radio guy that ever lived. Mark Murphy. He's the greatest chef. There's Chico. He's the greatest photographer that ever lived. Yeah. He always made you feel like you were the greatest person.
He was better than Flavor Flav.
He made you feel like you were the greatest person that ever lived. I mean, he really gave you the confidence and the power to be better than yourself.
I have no problem saying that. He brought my confidence back and made me funny again, and we were both down and out at the same time and just laughed our way right back up to the top.
For sure. I mean, and he was always there more than he was there for himself. I'll tell you, a couple of Christmases ago, I sent him a random text and I said, hey, Carl, I'm cooking your pork, your rib roast for dinner. He's like, call me right now. So I'm like, all right. It's like Christmas Eve day, and I call him up, and I was like, Carl, it's Christmas. I was like, I'm just letting you know, it's awesome. I'm cooking your meal. He's like, well, I'm not going to let you F up Christmas dinner. And then he spends the next 45 minutes telling me exactly how to cook it. He's like, you got to do it like this, you got to like that. Don't listen to anybody else. Just do this, and it'll be perfect. And your Christmas will be the best Christmas ever, and it was. And also made by the fact that he took the time out of his Christmas to make my Christmas better, when he could have just said, awesome, have a great Christmas, I'm glad you're cooking that,
Yeah. But that made him happy.
For sure, and that's what he was about, was making others happy. I mean, I think part of the thing with Carl is that so many people had individual amazing relationship with him, and that's coming out in Miami and in California and coming up soon in New York, is he had so many individual amazing relationships that really made all these people feel so special and close to him. I mean, people on Twitter that never met him are just like broken up about this. Yeah. It's because he really made everybody around him feel like they were important, and that's an amazing thing.
More than amazing. You're not going to see that anytime soon again.
No, I mean, I loved him like a brother, and it's been a hard couple of weeks. Yeah. But to be here with everybody telling these stories is what he'd want to. That's how people live on forever. Right.
When someone dies like Carl, it feels like such a tragedy. But you said basically you got to learn from that and make your life better, and give this meaning.
For sure. I mean, so. Carl passes away and we're all sad, and, we all go to the funerals and we want to cry. Number one, that's not what he'd want. He'd want us here together telling these stories and laughing and living. And I actually sent a note about this a couple of weeks ago, and, he would be so pissed if we were crying. He'd be like, get out there, live, do what I can't do, party, drink, have fun, see your family, see your friends, celebrate your family, celebrate your kids. Right. That's what he'd want, and that's what his life was about. I mean, that whole Ruizing thing, everybody would say, oh, what's that about? It really was just living in the moment, living for today, living for everything.
Well, I said it. I found spirituality in the last, few years, and Carl would make fun of it, which he should, find the jokes and, beat me up about it. But in the end, I'm like, Carl, you lived one of the most important things about spirituality, which was living in the moment, the power of now. He was all about that.
He was, and that's what that hashtag is. I mean, everybody kind of joked about it a little bit, but it really was about appreciating life.
Well, I feel bad that I joked more than a few times on the podcast that, hey, Carl, you're going to die over a hashtag. And he would let out that laugh like,
cuz.
It's a deep lesson from it. When you look back on all of it, it's almost like he lived and existed on this plane to show us something about ourselves that we can, Rodriguez just said, learn from it. Now, can we take some part of Ruizing into our lives, but also want to be here for a long time and to appreciate this time that we do have? I mean, like you said, there is a deep spirituality to him, and we can learn from it now because, I look around at Guy's friends and family, and we're all here. A lot of people here, Guy has been friends with for years and years, grew up with, known from day one, Northern California. But there was something so special about Carl when he came into Guy's life, and we'll never, and you could see their connection and the way they were together, and it speaks to all of our connections. So I think by us being here together and loving and appreciating life and each other, he's smiling down right now.
Sure is.
And you made a very important point, because there are, the idiots online when they talk about Ruizing, it's like, oh, look where it got Carl, and they think it's about
BS.
They think it's about just getting shit-faced and having a fucking hot dog. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
He loved the people he was with. He was humble to everyone he met. He treated you like a real person no matter who you were, and that's something we can all take no matter what we do in our lives.
But the point was that Ruizing to Carl, and I know because I hung out with him so much, it was living in the moment.
Ruizing,
Some days it might have been getting shit-faced and having hot dogs, but then...
It's whatever the moment is. Ruizing is going to see your niece play a college basketball game. Ruizing is going to have the best steak dinner. Ruizing is going to hug your friend. Ruizing is whatever you want it to be.
Well, to me, it's fishing.
And Carl, we love you, bud, so that's why we're all here together, keeping your message alive.
Oh, Guy Fieri, I was podcasting in front of your fire. I'm sorry.
Just get the fuck out.
I thought you left. I'm like, do I turn?
My house.
I know, but I was starting to think I was going to have to turn the lights off.
No, you were trying to figure out how to load stuff into your car. That's more of the shady style, but I like it.
You know what? My life hasn't gotten that bad.
You guys have all been out here puff giving.
Yeah. I can't lie. My sister's a huge Food Network's fan and a fan of yours.
Your sister's a wonderful person.
So I kind of like, I did a little humble brag. Said, I think Guy...
You should. You're my brother.
I'm like, Guy just made me lobster, huh? What do you think of that? And she's like, she's crying now.
I cooked
she's
lobster
crying.
on the fly, bro.
That was amazing.
That was lobster on the fly.
That was amazing.
All right, Guy, you want this closed?
Yeah.
All right, we're heading out. How do we get out of here?
All right, pick out the front door.
All right, let's go.
Is that the front door? I think that's that way.
No one knows where the front door is. This place is so amazing. No one knows where the front door is.
Cool, so
You think?
about this. Did you talk about this kitchen yet on the podcast?
I did not. What do you want to say about the kitchen?
It's fucking amazing. I'm not a chef, but I'm a home chef.
Do you think you could throw a football from this side of the kitchen to that side?
Yeah, but it's real spacious, and the range is incredible. Yeah. The vent hood is incredible. The sinks and the fridges are incredible.
The flames.
He's got. I asked Guy, I was like, "What's the what tip can I take home to my kitchen?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when Carl was in my kitchen, Carl was like, "Matt, I got to come back here later. I'm going to rearrange all your drawers, and I'm going to make it." He never got a chance to, but he said, "If I could change one thing about your kitchen, I would give you I put foot pedals on the sink." He's like, "It's a game changer." So I have my guy now looking into the foot pedals, but I asked Guy, what could I change in my kitchen to take it to the next level? He goes, you got to get some real BTUs in there, some real power. When he made you that lobster, you see the flame he was. He basically turned a knob and a campfire happened on his stove.
Did you expect anything
And he goes,
less?
yeah. He goes, you need a one inch gas line, and this house isn't run on natural gas. It's got a 1 inch propane hard line. Oh, baller. Right now, guys, over 20 feet away from us in the corner, showing off like a $50,000 deli slicer. That costs as much as a car. Yeah. And then he's got, look, you see he's got a 4-foot pepper fucking mill over here. He's got a stand mixer on the floor like you'd have at a bagel shop in New York City. It's so sick, this kitchen. It's ridiculous.
And look, everyone's just hanging in the kitchen.
I respect Guy. He is, he's chill. I'm a stranger in his house. There's other strangers in his house. He's very chill about it for someone that's that famous.
I don't think we have any business being here.
I feel very uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. I feel really uncomfortable. I'm really on edge. The weed is helping. So is the White Claw a little bit. But I feel very on edge. But everyone's nice. Everyone's been very, very nice.
His family is really nice.
Everyone's been so nice. I don't have a reason to feel edgy. I just am very aware of whose house I'm in.
I'm sure everyone knows on the podcast that while he was cooking me lobster, I'm going to brag a little bit. Did he not say that he was a big fan of Opie and Anthony?
He did say he was a fan of Opie and Anthony, and he said he was a fan of Opie and Anthony because of how much Howard Stern shit on you, which I think is a very interesting Streisand effect to have happened.
Well, what he said was, which was
leaving?
awesome.
We're going.
Oh,
Are you still podcasting right now? By the way, the amount... I just saw you talking on
We're influencers, guys. We have influencing to do over here. Let's go. Let's leave, guys.
Wait, no. So the point, though, and he was right. He really knows radio. He goes, the only reason I started listening to you guys was because Howard Stern was so up your ass talking about you guys that it made me, meaning Guy, check you guys out. And I went, wow, I like these guys. I'm going to start listening to them.
You should embrace Howard Stern's shittiness more.
Whoa.
We just got Oscared out of the kitchen. The speech went a little... The lights just went off in
I think we got to take the hint.
Let's go.
All right,
Let's get in our Porsche and go.
All right, let's go.
Oh, out? Yeah.
Yo, can I
Gloria.
just, leaving, let me just say that Flavortown rules. Oh my God, look at this tone.
Oh, he's had that forever.
It's
What is it?
unbelievable. It's a giant totem pole Buddha that looks hand carved. It's amazing.
I bet he's got I thought it was Carl.
That's so funny. Why don't we put glasses and a beard and a hat on this?
We could turn this into Carl.
We could make this Carl very easily.
He will live at your house.
Might be fucking Carl.
Come on.
We're gonna go out. Let's go out that way. Some must or you guys go out that way and I'll walk
Bring some.
All right, we're still trying to figure out how to leave. No one knows how to leave, Gloria.
Very confused. We're locked in.
No one knows how to leave.
Wait for Guy to drive us. Tell us which way we're going.
And then we'll just follow him out.
It's my pattern.
Did you have fun at the Grocery Games taping?
Oh my God, it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. It was unbelievable.
I hate German Shepherds. I hate German Shepherds. I got bit as a kid.
Build a
I'm
bridge.
triggered.
You're fine.
I'm triggered for no. I'm
You
triggered.
speak German? You can handle it.
I'm not joking. I'm triggered.
Let's go. Come on.
I'm triggered. All right, get me out. Gloria, I got bit on my paper route. German Shepherd nipped me in the knee, and I've been scared of German Shepherds ever
But
since.
that one didn't bother you at all. He just walked right past you. He could have cared less about you,
I
right?
stopped breathing, though.
You still podcasting in my fucking house?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
This is great.
This is like...
That's a new party crasher. The podcaster hiding in the linen closet.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, but what is that barn?
That barn was built in 1891. It's one of the last round barns in California. And it is enormous, dude. It's 3 stories high.
Yeah.
I got to take you tomorrow and show you that. But that is... Right now, it's just the barn. I mean, it's pretty amazing inside. Just to go walk in and see the architecture from 1891 will blow your mind. But it's going to be an indoor basketball court for Ryder. No. And then, oh, yeah. It's massive.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm a huge basketball guy.
Yeah, so this is...
We thought you were breeding horses in there.
Well, that's what it was originally for. The guy, Adolf Wesky, that built this whole big compound that was 800 acres back in the day, he's the one that... yeah.
The sprinter only holds so many. We've got people leaving. Does anybody need to jump in?
People are jumping in with people.
Yeah, we'll jump.
I have, Chef Murphy, and I have...
All right.
He goes a jumping.
I'm driving my car. So.
Yeah. Wait, do we know where we're going?
Yeah, I do. But you
Oh.
can go if you want to do a thing.
No,
I don't feel bad at all.
No, let's go.
You sure?
Yeah, man.
Okay, you can go.
I don't feel worthy. I don't feel worthy to be just walking around.
I gotta get
Guy's a massive estate. I don't know what you call this. Is this a ranch?
No, this is a fucking estate, homie.
Oh,
especially because you were all, oh, where do you film Guy's Ranch Kitchen? And he goes, at the ranch. And you're like, we're not at the ranch?
Yeah.
That's how you know we're at the estate.
Yeah.
Because it's not the ranch, and it's a fucking ranch.
It's unbelievable,
Dude,
man. I think I got in the wrong business. I should have started cooking. What am I doing?
Bro, with if you cooked like him with your Boris Johnson hair... You want to put the top up? Are you going to freeze?
I don't care.
All right, cool. Me either.
Boris, I'm not gonna live that down.
No,
man.
forever. You're Boris Johnson hair forever.
By the way, let the record show I went the whole day with my fly undone.
Did you? Oh
yeah,
the button. Yeah, no, they...
Oh yeah, I did.
We'll get some heat going. You just going to stay recording?
Yeah, so where are we going?
We're going to somewhere called Legends in Santa Rosa, and I'm going to pull it up, but I don't know how to get there because I don't know where I am really. Okay. But apparently this is where, like, Guy, like, has his parties. Oh, these are the watch guys.
All right, so
The watch guys are here.
So
They're
just
cool.
follow them. Yeah, we're going to celebrate Carl's life now. This is like the trip that never ends. Bring it up to speed. Hang on, everybody. There she goes. This has been crazy. We've been jumping from one spot to another. We were at Guy's house. That house is sick, Jesse.
That's a nice house, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is a sick house. And I thought at one point, I was podcasting up there in front of the fire, and I thought that I would have to turn the lights off, because I really thought Guy left and said he's like that trusting where he was just leaving his own house, and there were like 20 or 30, I was going to say degenerates, but that's just not true. Guy has a really good crew. But I thought I'd find myself just walking through the house, turning off lights before I came down to Legends here, where we're celebrating Carl's life.
Man.
And Jesse, for the podcast audience, explain who you are.
So I'm a producer on a bunch of Food Network shows, but Grocery Games has been the one that I've been on for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Carl.
Yeah. And we hung out in New York,
Yeah.
I think only once, unfortunately. Or a couple times, maybe.
Twice, yeah. Once at the old, I think at Sirius, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And then
you really believed in me and Carl's chemistry. You were like, holy shit, you guys are really, I should say were, unfortunately, but you said you guys are onto something.
Well, because as the producer, it's my job to interview.
Right.
And you do obviously do that pretty well and have for a long ass time.
Sure hope so, Jesse.
But I saw what you guys had, and it was very special. You allowed him to, you allowed him to go. You allowed him free reign, but it was always sort of contained in a way that was really entertaining. And, because he would always, you never knew when like a knowledge drop was coming.
Yeah.
And it happened a lot on your podcast. It happened a lot.
The funny thing is, I told a lot of people that I don't really edit the podcast, but the reason I didn't edit the podcast was because he made it so easy. There was never anything really to take out of the damn thing. Except maybe some names that would piss off some people every once in a while. Yeah. But in general, man, it was like I would turn this damn thing on and we would go for an hour and a half effortlessly.
Well, that's what it seemed like. It seemed effortless.
Yeah.
It felt that way to you? Because that's how it, for the audience, for me listening to it, that's how it seems.
What's your memories of him on Grocery Games and in general? You got any good stories or whatever you want to say?
Well, so the first time he came on Grocery Games, we did a tournament of diners, drive-ins, and dives chefs competing on Grocery Games, and I just got paired up with them. So it was 16 cooks from Triple D, and he was just, as a cook, he was hilarious, he was funny, he was confident. Even just the way he would present his dishes to the judges, the way he cooked, like he knew that he was a real deal chef.
Yeah.
But then when we got into the interview room,
which I feel like he downplayed at times.
He did. He downplayed both things. Don't you think? He downplayed how funny he was. He downplayed what a good chef he was. He sort of didn't want.
Right.
He didn't want to talk about it. He just wanted to show it. But on a show like that, where Guy's obviously the host, but there's not really like a narrator. It's the chefs are their own narrators, and that's through the interviews. And when we got to the interview room, it was like you just knew instantly that you were dealing with a thoroughbred.
Yeah.
He was just so funny, so sharp, so quick that he made me better as an interviewer, because like I had to be on my game.
Yeah.
And he was just, I don't know, man. And the way he treated, you see all the people here.
It's like well over 100 people, and then they just opened up another room because they're expecting maybe another 100.
Yeah, and he treated.
And are all these people like Food Network people?
Yeah, these are all people from the crew. There's a couple people I don't recognize, but these are all people from the crew of Grocery Games.
Wow.
And it was because he treated every single person, like you were his boy.
Right.
And he meant it. It was sincere. It was authentic every time. And yeah, I don't know. It was about a year ago. I was down in Miami for a different show. And I just sent him a picture of the Miami skyline. And he calls me right away. And he says, "That's the Miami skyline." I said, "Yes, Carl." He said, "Are you there?" I said, "Yes, Carl. I'm here too. Say goodbye to the next 3 days of your life." I said, "Well, I'm here for work, but how about tonight?" He goes, meet me at this address tonight at 8 o'clock. Went to this amazing restaurant in Little Havana, the kind of place that you would drive by and you just wouldn't know unless you knew.
Yeah.
And we just sat, we drank, we ate amazing food. I mean, you've been out. You don't say a word. You just let him do everything as far as the ordering and the.
Every time I would order myself, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you're in the passenger seat.
Then when we would hang out at restaurants, I just. No offense to the ladies out there, but I would just turn into a little bitch and go, order for me.
Yeah, you'd be stupid not to, because his knowledge on food, I mean, on a million things, but on food it was, and this place, it was like this Scarface kind of place where, like, all the servers are in their bow ties and they make the beef tartare right in front of you. It was an amazing place, and we just sat, we drank, we laughed, we talked, got in his car, went to this cigar shop that was closed, but he did the secret knock. They let us in, went to the back, got some cigars, and just went down to the beach until 3 a.m, just smoked cigars, talking about life. And it was those, he was amazing in a crowd, but it was the one-on-one, it was the quiet moments that he was.
It's funny about the secret knock, because when we did that Nantucket trip,
sure.
We walked into a watch store and he just started speaking a language that they totally understood, and then they knew who he was in the watch world.
Oh my God, he's a legend in the watch. It's like. And there were so many subjects where it was like, oh, you know everything about that also?
Yeah.
And he did. His knowledge, his wealth of knowledge was.
Well, he was constantly studying stuff on his phone. Just learning new things all the time.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if he was driving, 65, 70 miles an hour from Rochester to, New York. He still needed to learn stuff. So, he'd be watching YouTube videos, and I'm like, Carl, how about we keep an eye on the road there, buddy?
Right. Yeah, no, he rarely shut it off. It sucks. And I know it's hit you hard, too.
Yeah, it sure has.
Yeah. No,
I don't even know what to do with myself, because, I mean, it was one thing, the podcast, and, we had that great chemistry, but, I will continue in some way. I don't know what it.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know what it looks like yet, but more importantly, why is that guy waving at me? I'm confused.
I don't know. Him, I don't know. He probably knows you. He's a fan.
Oh, okay. But I'm more bummed that I lost, a really good friend.
Yeah. And just untapped. Like, so much of it was untapped as far as the friendship, as far as you were just saying that you felt like he was close to really hitting it, right? Like, really kind of becoming known even more than he was.
Well, I'm a little frustrated because I think he falls just short of legendary status. I feel like another year or two of becoming bigger on TV, maybe on the podcast, maybe not, and all that social media and the videos he was making on his own that had nothing to do with Grocery Games or me.
Yeah.
I feel like, God, if we could only got like another year or two, I think he would have had legendary status.
Do you find yourself being a little bit mad at him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
me
go
too.
through sad, happy, mad. But I think that's normal.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because part of him knew he was going to go out early, and and he didn't mind he was going out early, and I'm like, but Carl, what do you got? There's so much more to do.
Right, and he was so loved.
Carl's brother's right over there. I want to drag him.
Have you talked
over.
to George yet?
George rules.
George is amazing.
George is kind of funny in his own right.
Isn't that so funny? Like, George is. I mean, it's different kind of funny, but George is funny.
Yeah, because Carl on the podcast would always talk about. I was kind of scared to meet George because I know all the things that Carl said about him, and I was like, just sort of agreeing with him, even though I never met his brother, because I'm, Team Carl.
Of course.
So when I met him, I was scared because I didn't know how much of the podcast he heard.
Yeah.
But in all fairness to George, I think Carl misrepresented him at times. He's kind of funny.
George gave just an amazing eulogy down in Miami, amazing at Carl's funeral, and it was like, you really feel like he understood his brother, he knew his brother, and that was awesome to see. But yeah, George is funny. You got to get him over here.
Yeah, we should grab him. Anything else about Carl there, Jesse?
For me personally, he made me feel. He made you feel special. It felt like it was like an honor to be in his presence. Yeah. It really was, and he was so kind. And I don't want to step on what his brother might tell you, but what his brother said was, he said the only currency that mattered to Carl was friendship.
Yes.
And I think that's how he lived his life, and he
got off making people happy.
That's right, and that's what he always talked about. He said to be a really good chef, you have to be a servant. You have to want to serve people because it's too hard. You're on your feet all day and you're dealing with idiots, and pain in the ass customers, but he said, but you have to just love to serve people.
Yeah.
And he did. I think that's why he was so drawn to.
100%.
That's why he was drawn to comedy too, probably.
Whether
That's
he-
another form of service, you know.
Whether he was cooking or just interacting with somebody on Twitter, he was serving
Yeah, and
his
just
fellow human beings.
Yeah, we went wine tasting one time up here up north. We actually with my parents. They came to visit on set, and we went out and he was the level of knowledge he was dropping. You know, he was a 4th level sommelier.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Okay,
yeah.
And
He
which
would
is
downplay all that.
all of it, man, fucking all of it. And so that's one step below a master sommelier, which is that's like the top. And he was saying all these words and all this knowledge about wine. And it was like, that's really a thing? Like, and then the person at the winery would come over and say exactly what he said, but in a more pompous, arrogant way.
Yeah.
You know, but he was just savagely intelligent, savagely funny, and you know, I'm gonna miss him.
And fuck is what you want to say.
And fuck, yeah.
We needed a little more of that, Carl. You son of a bitch.
Amen to that. But I'm glad we got him.
Absolutely.
For as long as we did, you know.
Absolutely. Here comes the man of the hour himself. I'm calling you the man of the hour, George.
Man of the hour? No, Carl's the man of the hour. I'm the man of the half hour.
How do you feel about all the people coming out for Carl?
It's amazing. I mean, the amount of love that my brothers engendered is overwhelming.
It's incredible.
It is.
And everyone has a story. It's like endless. Everyone has a story about how they connected with your brother and how meaningful your brother was in their life.
You know, for me, I feel like he really understood the value of connection.
Yeah.
And he saw food as a vehicle for it.
Yep.
He saw laughter as a vehicle for it. I mean, these are things that are universal, that supersede like anyone's personal convictions. We all laugh. We all eat.
Yep.
I mean, he took some of the most basic things that are universal and found a way to use it to connect people.
Right, 100%.
And I think that's what made him so unique. That's why so many people are here to honor him.
And they really know him.
They do.
They're not just here like, oh, there's a party and, I can hang with Guy Fieri and everybody from the Food Network. They're like, no, every person I've stopped, they really knew your brother. What kind of kid was he? Like, we talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but
my brother,
like you two growing up, the one thing that was fun on the podcast, he would really, and he made it really funny, how different you two were. Like you were book smart and he was street smart, more or less. But you both are like highly intelligent in very different ways.
You know,
was he ever into school or any of that crap?
You know what? My brother had a lot of natural ability.
Yeah.
And things came, intellectual tasks, he could tackle them without a lot of effort.
Yeah.
I had to work really hard at them, but I had a discipline to me, and he rebelled against that sort of approach. You know, he was more free flow.
That's so weird that you both came out of your mother, and you were so different.
We grew up in an immigrant home, and we knew that there had to be a road out of that, and how are we going to make it in the world? And for me, it was school. That was like the route that became clear to me early on. It took my brother a little time to figure out what his route would be, and it turned out to be the culinary arts.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just think...
Which it sounded like I think he told me over the years that they weren't supportive of his job choice at first.
They were immigrants to the country, and for them the ideal was like their kids were going to go to college. I think they had that preconceived notion that that's what success in the U.S. looked like, and they're not wrong. I mean, you know, the easiest way to break out of a challenging neighborhood is to go to school.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that they thought that being a chef, I mean, there were no celebrity chefs in the 70s or 80s when we were growing up in New Jersey. I mean, that wasn't something you aspired to.
I was going to say it wasn't a rock star profession.
No.
Yeah, not at all.
There was like
chefs were in the back of a restaurant and you never saw them, never got to see their personality.
That's right.
And most of these chefs, they have a damn good personality in the kitchen.
You know, chefs are rock stars. They are. It's just no one knew them yet.
No.
You know, so they're zany, they're wacky, they're adrenaline junkies. They're really interesting and they're really curious.
Right.
I think chefs, the best chefs, are really curious, and certainly Carl was.
And I would assume your parents finally started embracing his career path, right?
I mean, look, he I remember when he started at Sabor in New Jersey, and he had his first review, and I remember my mom really reveled in reading it. She's like, I think your brother's review came out, and she went and read it, and she's like, this is good. She's like, George, they like him. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, they like him. Right. She's like, I don't read English too good, but it looks good. And I'm like, you're right, Mom. It looks really good. I think that when they saw him shape a menu, come out of the kitchen, interact with people in the restaurant, the way my dad did at the tire shop that we grew up with, I think they started to see the value in it, you know? I know as a parent, you have preconceived notions about what your kids are going to do, and if there's a gap between that and reality, you're like, oh, is this the right thing? You know? And so I think they started to realize that, my brother was really ahead of his time, and this was about the time Food Network was taking off. All these things were happening. International cuisine was becoming more of a common thing. Because, growing up in our neighborhood, there was no Indian food or Thai food. There were diners. There was fast food. There was a few pizzerias. Now the food scene is so much more diversified. Yeah. And Carl was actually part of bringing, I think, Latino food to the mainstream. The funny thing about him, though, is that his love went far beyond Latino food. He loved all kinds of food. And he found ways to mix them up. He found ways to mix food that were incredibly creative and just took the best out of each tradition and mixed them together.
Right.
So he honored, the home he came from, but also the home that a Japanese family came from or a Thai family came from. He found a way to mix it all together and make it accessible to people.
Yeah.
And that's what's awesome.
And it was because he respected tradition and authenticity. It was like, that real recognizes real. Like he would, if someone was doing something that was authentic from a true place, he would just be so drawn to that and want to learn from them. But, mashing this food with that food, unless it came from a real sincere place, and he would recognize it like that, and he would chew you up and spit you out in 2 seconds. But people that were doing their food their way, like from the heart, he recognized that instantly. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I want to go back. The stories he would tell about your dad in the tire store were heartbreaking. When your dad started losing his mind a bit there with the early signs of Alzheimer's, and guys that he supported and took care of were literally ripping him off.
That's right.
And it broke his heart when he used to talk about this on the podcast.
My dad is a real American hero. He came to this country with, it sounds cliche, but nothing more than a dream, and it's true.
Yeah.
And he realized that as our family was growing, that a factory job wasn't going to cut it. And so he bought a small tire shop, and he used that as his vehicle to get ahead in the world. And he took great pride in fixing those tires.
Right.
It was amazing. Because, fixing a tire, there's no great science to it. But my dad made it so that when you went to that tire shop, you were buying more than just a flat fix.
Yeah.
You were buying a relationship with him.
Right.
He always greeted you. He understood where you were coming from. My dad was like Carl, a warm human being who tried to connect with people on a deep level. And as a result of that, he turned his small tire shop into an economic engine for our family that gave us a better way of living.
Right.
That's the American dream.
Right.
And my brother and I worked with him from early age. He would take us to work with him. And I remember that watching my dad work like that really shaped the way that I saw the world.
Yeah.
I had great appreciation, admiration for him and the hustle that he took on day to day with a smile. And because of this, my brother and I were selling tires before we were teenagers.
Wow.
So we were like 11 years old, and I could bring you up a used tire and sell it to you. That sounds crazy, and there are probably all sorts of child labor laws that were broken. But you know what? It really shaped, I believe in my soul, it shaped who my brother and I are. And so me as a doctor, when I see patients, it's really no different than the interactions that we had in that tire shop. And I know when I would see my brother at the restaurants that he ran, and he would come out of the kitchen and people were like, "Hey, chef," and they wanted to meet him. And my brother knew that this was a very special moment for them. He would give them that moment.
Yeah.
He never denied people the access to him because he knew that they weren't coming there to just have an empanada. They were coming there to feel the whole experience. He understood that food goes beyond just what you eat. It's how you feel when you're there. And that's why when you think about the memories of your most fond, your fondest childhood meals, it's more than just what you ate. It's where you ate it. It's who was there. It's what Christmas was like when you were growing up, or whatever the holiday was.
It's funny you should say that because so at my grandma's beach house, she used to serve margarine and sugar sandwiches. That sounds terrible on paper, right? Although they are kind of delicious. But just like you just said, it's the truth, because I don't necessarily remember how good the sandwich tasted, but I remember the love that was behind making that sandwich.
You know, for me, it's funny because when I go back to Jersey, I go to places we ate as a kid.
Yeah.
And whether it's Rutt's Hut, where we would go eat hot dogs, or Romeo's Pizza in Passaic, when we'd sit there and do it, I mean, it was part of our childhood. So when I go back now and I sit there, it's more than just a $5 slice of pizza.
Of course, it's all the memories.
It's like, Jesus, this is where we came from.
Do you like hot dogs like your brother?
I do. It's
And
horrible. I'm a
cardiologist.
cardiologist, but those hot dogs are really good. I don't eat them regularly.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, man, a great hot dog, that's hard to beat.
Yeah. You know, the last conversation I had with Carl was over hot dogs.
Is that right?
We finished the podcast, and then I kept it on because I was walking him to the subway last time I saw him. And we were at Gephardt's, the place I like to podcast. And I hope you make it there. Next time you're in New York, you look me up. We'll go have a beer there. I would love that. And as I'm walking him to the subway, he goes, you know, the hot dogs at Gephardt's are pretty good, huh? And he was all happy how good the hot dogs were. And then he gave me the best "I love you," and I said bye. And I had one other conversation on the phone with him because he was going through some stuff at the restaurant. And I was just making sure he was okay. And that was it, unfortunately, man. But how did your family handle when your dad started getting sick and then
sorry.
business?
Yeah, I didn't answer that.
No, if you don't want to, it's okay.
No, absolutely.
But I think it's important because I think it showed what kind of person Carl was, and certainly what kind of person you are.
You know, my dad built that place and was there for close to 3 decades, and it became clear that his mental faculties were failing him, and that my mom had to sell the place. So between my mom and I and Carl, we worked together and found a buyer, and it was one of these just on faith kind of relationships where we agreed to something and they paid us monthly, and we handed over the tire shop to them. And it was sad to close. It was a sad end of an era for us, you know, because that tire shop really gave us so much in terms of opportunity. I will tell you that the last Saturday that my dad was there, I went and worked at the tire shop with him. and I was fixing this guy's tire, and one of the guys working with my dad told the customer, "Hey, you see that guy over there fixing your tire? He's a cardiologist." And the guy was like, get the hell out of here. You're talking ridiculous.
Right.
And the guy was like, "Are you really a cardiologist?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What?" He couldn't understand it. And it's because for us, we didn't see the menial labor. It was my dad's labor.
Right.
There wasn't anything dirty about it.
Yeah.
It was what we did.
You took pride in it.
And I'll tell you, for me, working there that last Saturday, knowing that my dad's mind was slowly unraveling, was just made me feel so grateful. It's crazy because when I would go to the shop, and I remember when I went to college, I went to Brown, and my dad put a Brown sticker on a car, Brown University. And there would be people that would come to the tire shop, and they were like, "Oh, Jesse, I see you, Brown University. Did you visit up there? Did you buy the car with the sticker?" He's like, "No, my son goes there." They were like, "No, come on. Your son goes to Brown?" My dad would be like, "Yes, he does. He goes to Brown." And they're like, "What do you?" He goes to Brown. They couldn't. It couldn't. It was too much of a contrast.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when I graduated from that university, I gave the original degree to my mother, and it hangs in her little study in her apartment in Hollandale Beach. And I photocopied it, and I framed it, and I put it in the tire shop.
Nice.
Because it belonged to my dad.
Right. 100%.
It belonged to him. Because without him doing this, Carl and I wouldn't have had a shot.
Right.
We would have
paved
been
the way for you guys.
He did,
with
man.
hard work and the American dream.
He was a hero.
Yeah.
He was a hero. He's an unsung hero.
Yeah.
And my mother too. They worked as a team. They knew that without each other, they couldn't make it.
Your mom sounds like a character. What I know from what Carl used to talk about on the podcast. Like she got into medicine a little bit and diagnosing people. How true is that?
It's true.
It is true.
It's true. My mom would. My mom is a very smart woman, and sadly, her education was cut short when she moved from Cuba. When she emigrated from Cuba, when she fled Castro's regime, she couldn't go to school. So as I was going through medical school, she would ask me questions. She would ask me questions about her friends, like, Maria has this problem. What should we do? What do you think? And I would explain it to her. I think my mistake was I explained it to her in detail.
Yeah.
And then my mom became basically a medical professor. I mean, she knew. No, she legit knew more about medicine than most of her friends.
Right.
And then if she didn't know, she would ask me, and I would answer her. And so she was like a tape recorder, like Carl. She had a great memory, so she learned all this stuff. But I knew that there would be a problem when one day she's like, "Hey, you should leave that prescription pad here. Just sign a few of them." I'm like, "Mom, now you're going to get arrested by the FDA." And by the way, she didn't do it. I'm joking. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
But
George is
look,
panicking.
Yeah, no, absolutely nothing happened. But it's true that in some areas, people exchange medications. I never advocate for that. I think it's a horrible thing. But my mom would be like, "I think you have acid indigestion. You need to go get the Zantac. I think you have arthritis." And I think it's also fueled by the fact that when I go visit her, she's lined up several of the people in the building that have issues.
This is everything. Everything.
It's true, man.
Son, it's so nice to see you. This is my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Janice. Janice, meet George.
Sure, so my mom,
Janice, I think she has the gout.
So usually the way it plays out is I'll fly in with the family, the kids. It doesn't matter what time of day or night, she'll have a meal ready.
Yeah.
She'll feed me, and then when I'm in a little bit of an insulin coma, just, figuring out that I shouldn't have eaten all that. She's like, you know, the lady in 802, she's been having some swelling in her legs. And listen, I feel so sorry for her. It's so sad. Did I tell you the story about her husband and how he died suddenly? And, it would mean the world to her if you went up there. And,
so you're making rounds.
I'm like, yeah, no. And it would be like, yeah.
All of a sudden you have an intern when you get there. It's like nurses.
And it's funny because my wife is a gynecologist, but she never gets asked to do anything. Ever. Well, I'm waiting for someone to have a vaginal discharge or something.
Something, right?
Something.
Oh my
something.
God. You got
For
to
God's
admit,
sake.
Some leakage somewhere.
I mean,
gotta
you
admit that'd be
guys.
real awkward.
It would be hard.
Yeah,
I'm
like-
joking, obviously.
Yeah, like, what do you think about my high cholesterol diet versus versus can you check my puss?
I got some leakage.
Yeah.
So that stuff is true. I love it.
No, it is. It's totally true. Yeah.
But obviously, she cares for people as well.
My mom does, you know. I think my mom would have been an amazing doctor. Her education was cut short, and she's got the instinct. She's got a really great healer instinct.
Yeah.
And I think that's something she passed on to us. I have obviously formalized it. My brother, in his own way, was a healer.
Yes.
You know, he brought healing to lots of people. Well, he did it through.
Have you seen all the stuff on Twitter and social media where, like, he really healed a lot of people? Like, this person reached out because he was sick, and Carl's like, give me your number right now, and he would talk him down. And I told you the other day that, he was donating to GoFundMe pages without telling anyone.
Yeah, man. He has a healing instinct, and I'll tell you, for me, I'm incredibly proud to be his brother. I thought he was a unique and amazing guy. I wish I had more of the experiences that many of you had with him. I have to admit that part of me is like sad that I didn't have some of these moments. Like, people have told me, like, oh, I used to have lunch with your brother all the time. I'm like, God, I wish I had lunch with him, you know? Life gets really busy, and I think we forget the things that really
life gets in the way, for sure.
Yeah, man. And I think that's one of my biggest takeaways, you know? He's touched so many people.
Absolutely. Well, you can see it. They're all here right now. So how competitive were you and Carl growing up? Because he talks about, it's really interesting because he obviously, there's a lot of love for you. But also he would talk about how the family kind of would say that you were the chosen one.
Yeah, you definitely won the family. That was Carl's implication was that pretty much like they realized at a very young age that you were, quote, smart, and he was, quote, not, and that was just how that was going to go.
But I think that motivated him because he's like, oh, really? You don't think I'm the chosen one or smart? Watch what I do next.
You know, I got to tell you, I don't want to pop balloons, but my parents were incredibly fair-minded. They wanted more than anything for my brother to succeed. I felt like they put their eggs in both of our baskets. Carl, there was something about being the underdog that Carl always connected with, and even if the situation he was not the underdog, he still wanted to be the underdog. Now, I happen to be a very convenient not underdog, although I was an underdog in my own way. Even though that may be a narrative that he pushed along, from my vantage point, my parents stopped at nothing to have him succeed.
Right on.
Most of the resources they gave him, though, were focused in a traditional way, like, hey, man, we're going to put you in a private school, which they did. We want you to go to college, you know, but so it threw them off, I think, maybe a little bit if he took a turn and was like, look, I want to be a chef. That wasn't unusual, but they wanted him to win.
Yeah.
They didn't want to just like, hey, I want George to win, and Carl, good luck.
I like
wasn't that
that
at all. You know,
yeah.
I think but you know what? There's a lot of power in perception and in how you see the world. But I'll tell you, from my vantage point, there wasn't Carl, good luck, and George is going to do something.
Yeah.
I was not trying to compete with Carl in any way. I was just really focused on getting my own
thing going.
Thing done.
Yeah.
You know, you got to think for me, growing up in New Jersey and aspiring to say, like, look, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to go there. I'm going to push. That was a hard thing for me. And so I wasn't trying to win so he would lose. I was just trying to win.
Yeah.
He had great talent, and my mother was a huge fan. My mother was a huge fan. My mother didn't know what Twitter was. She's like, I looked on the little bird, and I see where your brother is, and he's doing this and that.
All over the little bird.
When he's on the little bird told me that Carl is. My mother was the biggest fan, and the crazy thing is, though, if my brother perceived himself as the underdog, I will tell you that whenever he showed up in any family event, I disappeared to the background. So it didn't matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
It wasn't. If all the eggs were in my basket, it was very interesting that when he showed up, he was a celebrity in the family before anyone knew him anywhere
Outside
else.
the family.
Because he just has this charisma to him that everyone just wanted to be around him, wanted to be part of him. So I think it was part of a narrative that he felt he needed to move forward.
Well, he got off on being the underdog. You said it perfectly.
But he was a winner.
Yeah.
That's Ruizy.
You want to get down on the show?
Hey,
No, I just wanted to say hi to this guy. Chef Aaron May in the house. I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to say hi.
A few words about Carl.
Hey, what a great day today to be with Carl in spirits and talking about all the great stories and sharing all the great times and watching you eat spicy. I mean, dude, I realize why Carl kept George away from all of us.
Yeah.
Because he's better looking and funnier. And more affable. Like, genuinely. Like, he is not... There's nothing curmudgeonly about him.
Yeah.
He's clean.
Yeah. He has most
He's
of his
polite.
hair.
He has genuine sanitation down and hygiene. Like, I would have kept away too if he was my brother. I'd be like, fuck you.
He did keep you away from us. That's for sure, George.
But what a great day, honestly. I mean, listen, it was a long day. I don't know what time. We got there at like 7 a.m. today. We were there all day. Such emotional highs and lows and in between, and working and trying to put on a show and trying to do everything and remember Carl the right way. And, I mean, it was a great, great day. But, like, just spiritually, like, a lot today, right? Like,
well, as a chef, by the way, I got to ask you something. There's no ventilation at Guy's Grocery Games set because when you guys were,
He's still on the fucking coughing.
of course, I'm still on the coughing.
oh yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
So what was that? It was a really hot pepper.
Yeah, so I mean, think about it. It's basically pepper spray, right? You're activating the essential oils in those chili peppers. It's basically pepper spray.
I had a tickle in the back of my throat. I started coughing. Then I'm looking around.
Yeah.
And fast forward 10 minutes. Everyone in the place was coughing.
Yeah, it wasn't even that bad today. We've been in there before. We have to literally wear like surgical masks.
Really?
Oh yeah, where it's bad, bad, bad.
Really?
You know, I judged a lot.
You know he's allergic to apples, right?
I did not know that, but
Why are you saying that?
I'm just saying.
one of Guy's favorite things was to put Troy and Carl and I on the spiciest episode ever. I don't know if you guys have seen any of those clips, but it was Guy's great joy to torture us.
Yeah.
And some of those days, like, yeah, you would, like, we'd be like, let's get out of here right now.
Right.
Because you're tearing and coughing and, like, I mean, just the worst.
Yeah. You got one good Carl story?
I got a lot of good Carl stories.
Come on. One
I'm trying to
good
think of one that I can tell that I'm okay sharing. Carl, you know, listen, one of my biggest things, I'm sure you guys, some of you maybe can imagine, like, I'm not the most comfortable around strangers. I don't like to talk to random people, like, a lot in depth. I'm not the most, like, I'm not the friendliest guy maybe to strangers, which is the exact polar opposite of Carl, right?
Yeah.
So Carl and I were in an Uber in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're going on about a 25-minute ride. And we get about 1 minute into the ride with a lady driver who's about 50 years old, turns around and says, I totally recognize you guys from Food Network, and I would love to have you guys over to barbecue at my house. At which point I'm like, I've never been on Food Network in my life. I'm going to put my headphones in and pretend this conversation never happened. And Carl's like,
where do you live? What are we cooking? Aaron and I would love to come. And I'm like punching. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Carl. I'm not joking right now, Carl, I'm being serious right now. And Carl's like,
It's like a Bill Murray story.
Carl's like, you know what? Where we're going isn't even important. Let's go to the grocery store. We'll buy food. Invite your family. Aaron and I are going to come cook for you. And I'm like, dude, you cannot do this to me right now, Carl. Like, I'm like crawling out of my skin, uncomfortable. Like, literally, like, I'm dying right now at the thought of this. And in true Carl fashion, the way he gets out of it is by telling, like, the most outlandish, it had to be a lie. There's no way it's true. There's no way that this is true. He tells the lady in the most monotone, serious Carl voice, I just got a text from American Express, and one of my fans has requested to meet me at this restaurant, so we have to make a detour, and we're unable to attend your barbecue. And I'm like, you have Amex texting you? Bullshit. Fuck off, man. Amex, you have a fan who reached out to Amex concierge services who somehow have your cell phone number to arrange a meeting in Phoenix. Like, this is the most unbelievable story that could possibly be told. But it got us out of doing this barbecue, and God bless him for it.
But you know what? If you didn't protest as hard as you protested, I guarantee you'd be barbecuing that bitch's out.
1,000% I would have been barbecuing.
And it probably would have been fun, actually.
I would have refused to have fun on general. But it might have been okay. Yeah.
Well, he's going to be missed.
Absolutely. He will be missed every day in every way by a lot of people.
You were really prepared for this weather, George.
Yeah, George is the only one in a winter's coat.
George is the only one who brought the appropriate warmth to this.
I looked. I got on my iPhone. I figured out what the temp was.
Of course he loves.
Smarter Carl, indeed.
Carl would be in slippers and a T-shirt if he was here right now.
He would use Jim Beam to stay warm, and it would be successful.
There would be a robe involved.
I mean, I remember one story of us growing up, like, just to give you an example, what we talked about. We loved cars, you know, and we loved Porsches. And I remember saying to him that the 924, which is like the entry model, the real cheap model, I'm like, it's a Porsche. And he was like, that car does not deserve to have the Porsche badge. And we were like maybe 12 or 14. And I was like, well, it may not deserve it, but it has the Porsche badge. It's a Porsche. He's like, it is not a Porsche. It is a glorified Volkswagen. That car is horrible. And I remember we would back and forth, and I was like, listen, it's a Porsche. And I remember, like, he's like, F you, and he got up, and he turned the lights on, and then we started fighting.
Really?
Yeah, and my parents were like, my dad comes in the room, he's like, what are you doing? And we're like, he's like, Dad, a 924 is not a Porsche. My dad was like, what are you talking about? Like, go to sleep. It was at night, so that's the kind of conversations we had.
Yeah, right.
He never included me in any,
a bit intense when he believed in something.
You know, man. But, you know, that's the kind of stuff we talked about. We never really talked about other crazy stuff.
Well, I got to say, it was definitely a pleasure to finally, you know, talk to you at length like this.
And
I feel like now I got another new friend. You're not getting rid of me anytime soon,
You do, man.
George.
If you ever want to talk about Carl, you let me know, because
I want to talk
it helps keep him alive, and I love that. And I just want, since we're on the mic and on the record, I want to say that he really loved working with you, and that was something that gave him a lot of meaning, and that I think you gave him a lot of meaning. I appreciate you.
We did that for each other. Trust me, we did that for each other.
And this is great. And to people that listen to your podcast, who I know are plenty.
Yeah.
I want to personally tell them on behalf of our family how moved we've been by the reaction, the love, the kindness, compassion, and empathy that's been extended to us after his death.
Right on.
That has really helped myself, my mom, our family, really try to come to grips with with something that just feels senseless. We've been able to start to understand the impact he's had with the help of folks like you. And I just want to let anyone out there who's a fan of his know that what you saw out there and who he was were one and the same. He was authentic. That's who he was. That's why I think he had that magnetism. And I want to personally thank them for just making him part of their chosen family.
Right on. I can't beat that, George. So, but you gotta do me.
Will you shut the fuck up for a second?
The Jew needs to hug George.
Holy shit, man, that was powerful.
That was powerful, and that's why I said I can't follow that. So, but you have to say one thing for the podcast.
Man, tell
listeners.
me, man.
Just go, Joey, wrap it up.
Joey, wrap it up.
And then maybe a boo. Maybe a boo.
Boo, boo, boo.
Oh, no. Boo, boo. Oh, George.
All right,
I love you, brother.
Thanks, brother.
For real, man.
Seriously, let me know. I'm happy to.
Absolutely.
You want to just
really enjoying this. Let's go. Close the door. I don't know who you're staring at. Get inside. All right, so Dirty's the shot caller. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Carl Celebration! Now, the reason that I made you come together like this, and I'm going to make this really quick, is because this is how close Carl used to get to you. When you were in the moment of the Cuban, you were in the moment, and he was only spending time talking to you. So I want you to do me one favor right now, before we go any further. I want you to take the next, and I'm going to ask for some sultry music in the background. Without picking up on anybody or hitting on anybody you're not supposed to be hitting on, I want you to take the next, and make it quiet, boys. I want you to take the next 60 seconds. I want you to hug, introduce, celebrate, and recognize the people that were in your 30, your 360 right now. Let's do it.
I'll just take your hand.
I appreciate that. What's up, man? What's up? Greg.
Kristen.
Yeah, man, right.
All right. Hey, Mojo, hold the line. Don't let him go to the bar. If you get caught at the bar right now, you're a real asshole. Here's my deal. Hold it down, boys. So here we go. Here's the last thing I'm going to say.
Everybody shut up!
Dirty P, shot caller. God, he's wanted to forever be that. He just didn't want to go to prison. Next message I have for you is this.
Yeah.
Everybody here has something that they want to say to Carl. And I want to give the mic to every single person. So they can say it and so Carl can hear it. But I want to tell you this. I do believe, and very, very recently, just so you know, I do believe that there's a higher power. So what I want you to do now is I want to take the next 30 seconds, because it doesn't take that long, and I want us to quietly, and I want you to say what you believe and what you feel and what you want to say to our brother Carl, the crazy Cuban. I want you to say it right now, quietly. And as my spiritual guider, my sister Morgan would say, namaste to you all. The greatest friends, the greatest people, the greatest band, one of Carl's favorites, and if you could have ever seen the Cuban lead a dance floor, it would be to some Pistol Funk. My brothers traveled all the way here with no notice and dropped everything they were doing, as did you all. And I'm going to tell you, this is Carl's night. And you are his friends, you are his family, and you love him, I love him, and this is his night. So please, celebrate this night for the Cuban. Love you all. Namaste. Rock on.
Boo 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 boo. Boo 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 boo.
Bum 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 bum.
I'm so happy you guys came up. What's up?
What's up, buddy?
Come on in. I was waiting for you by the door. Please.
Where are we?
We're the Acapulco suite from Fantasy Island.
Nice.
I got a little something for you guys. Mr. Rourke's home.
Wow, man, look at this. It's somebody's birthday.
Gentlemen, wow.
Damn.
I knew you guys were coming. Is it Grouet?
Bro, what the? Bro, what the?
I got a little, I had a mess. Did you make it rain earlier? Well, somebody was here.
Bro, what's up, man? What's up?
I don't want to
Bro, what's up?
You don't know walking felony.
What's up, bro?
Great to see Opie.
Good to
really,
see you.
I mean, I needed to see Opie.
All right, here, film us.
You know what your surprise is? No.
Right.
This is some good shit. Don't you feel like a young 22-year-old drinking this? Yeah, sure. Thought I pulled my back out going up the stairs, but yeah, sure. So this is ground zero after the event. Really? People are gonna get hurt up here. Oh my God. All of my boys are coming from Brooklyn. It's gonna be, this place will be on fire. Show us around. Sure. So this is the stabbing cabin. Yes, I understand.
Very nice.
Huh?
Very nice.
This is the window.
Let me just try out the bed.
Go ahead. What the fuck are you doing? Get off!
What?
Get off!
I was just trying it out.
It's a fancy place, cuz.
I was just trying it out.
What's wrong with you? Fucking shove that Samsung up your ass.
What? I was just trying it out.
What are you, fucking kid? He's acting like a kid from the fucking Goonies.
This looks like the courtship of Eddie's father. You know, some sort of weird Japanese.
How old are you?
This is very old.
Wow, bro.
Your toilet's nicer than our toilet uptown.
Bro.
I'm not happy that. Tell me that's not a substandard shower head for the room.
For this room, yeah.
Right, guys? Can I get a yes?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'll give you.
I'm disappointed. And it smells like a pool in here. That means this thing was showered with cum about a week ago.
All right, let me turn this off so we can start getting out of here. Carl's surprise has arrived.
Just wait, Cuban. I'm gonna go up on stage.
Guy Fieri, Rocco, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
How are you, man? And Alex and Shelley.
Hello.
What's going on?
Opie.
How are you? And everybody else.
Glad to see you. Hi. Mwah.
Mwah.
My boyfriend Michael.
Pleasure, man. Come on in. We're going downstairs.
Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I just want to get.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, buddy.
Nice to see you.
I just want to get this on film for Carl. Carl,
Mark
I got to talk to you.
Louisiana. Isn't that right, Mark? Aren't you from Louisiana?
Immediately.
That's right. You guys know, here's a Louisiana joke. You know, here, this is for the Ubons people. What do you call Louisiana without New Orleans?
It's not good.
What happened?
It's not good.
What happened?
It's not good.
What happened? What the fuck? You got a fight? What's that?
No.
No, I'm just the beginning of the cake.
No.
Yeah.
Here you.
Staying up late?
Hello.
Oh my
God. What? It's your birthday, man.
One more surprise.
It's like female real talent.
Well, happy birthday!
No fucking way!
We killed the Cuban!
Yeah, you can get it. That's my past and my future. Oh, no way.
All the way. It was so pure. That was great. I'm a guy. Oh, I love it, little bummer. Oh, you needed a great birthday, buddy. You needed a great birthday.
You motherfucker.
Think
You're
of that.
so rich. What are you doing? Oh,
Happy birthday, Carl.
Happy birthday, Cuban. Happy birthday, buddy.
All right, let's get drunk. It's my job. Okay, everybody? I forget. I get confused. All right, everybody. Holy shit.
What are you gonna do? You get all the great chefs all show
You're
up.
gonna have to shave your whole body for this on camera. This is not like a chest shaving. This is full body.
Full on.
Do you agree, Guy?
I think so.
Yeah. Full body. Head to toe. Head to toe, including the beard.
There isn't enough nair in the universe.
I'm not funny enough to do this. All right, everybody.
All right, let's go downstairs, Carl. What do you think of your surprise, Carl?
Opie, I've never
seen you blubber before.
Yeah.
We got him blubbering. Safi,
Well,
we got him
because
blubbering.
I
like it. I like it. You don't have to explain.
Outscored Shelley and Guy Fieri and Duff Golden and all these guys come to my birthday party. It was like
Rocco
the Spirito?
Yes.
I would bang him.
You having a good time?
It's too much. It's too much for me to process. It's too much to have a full room of people. I got you, baby. Come here.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Want to say hi to the world?
Hi to the world, baby.
No, this is really the world.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, guy. Have a good one.
There's a 50 in there.
All right, I'm going to give me something to eat now.
You're going to get heroin. That's what you're going to get.
He left before I could give mine, Carl.
I got you. I did a 50, 25.
He left before I could give mine.
That was a lot for me. Even for me.
It was awesome to see you like that. I'm not even joking, brother.
It's awesome to see me like that.
No, real shit.
Yeah, I'm a real dude.
Lately,
I'm not a bullshit dude.
Lately, I'm a fan of real shit.
I know how busy Guy is and Alex is and Duff is.
Right.
And for them all to come here and bring Safi, I know how expensive
I'll tell you this much. Guy Fieri texted me. He goes, "We want to surprise the Cuban for the birthday party." I'm like, "You ain't surprising the Cuban." And then I text you a million times, and then Guy's like, "He don't know, does he?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't fucking think he knows." Holy shit.
Opie, I would never,
No, I believe it.
We have such a tight circle that for him to do this, there had to be so many people that weren't involved.
Right.
And they had to bring in the big guy. Like, that's Safi. Like,
Safi.
If Safi drives cross country, right? So if Safi's here, it's a real
deal.
It's the real event.
All right. Yeah, we got to get down there because Sherrod's going on. Yeah, Sherrod wants us to see him, so put your cigarette out.
Holy shit, Opie.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Thank you.
All right, Carl, you gotta say something to the people. You gotta say something to all these fucking adoring white faces. They came out for you. Go.
I got more money than you.
He's right. He's got a lot of money.
Not anymore. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming out. Thank you. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You guys are unbelievable. I mean, thank you.
You gotta sing happy birthday for the son of a bitch. Here's the cake. We got the cake coming, you motherfucker. Come on. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carl. Happy birthday. Wait. Before we fucking bring it out, I gotta bring Guy up here. Guy fucking Fieri, Rocco, Despero, Duff, get your fucking black ass up here. Guy Fieri, Alex going to Shelley. Get them all up here. Get them all up here. Get them all up here. I need a picture, Becky. Becky, take a pic. Get them on. Everybody get up here. Wait, here comes Alex. Y'all get up for Alex going to Shelley. Opie, get up here. Opie, get to the stage. Opie, get to the stage. One more time, everybody. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.